Loki, one of the few remaining OGs in all this new mess we call Marvel now. Marvel has been, to say the least, struggling a lot with a lot of their recent shows. Me personally, I haven't watched most of the shows that Marvel has released. The few that I have watched, I have been disappointed, and reviews time and time again show that Marvel just isn't doing too hot with these new series and this new era that they want to push out there. Me personally, after Thanos, I was out. That was my official ending to the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe right there, and it was a good one. It was enjoyable. That was the one that I grew up with and the one that concluded in my young adulthood. And, well, I understand them wanting to do it again for the new generation, but I just don't think it's as good. Y'all have it rough because we actually had good movies. The only shows that I enjoyed after the Thanos era so far has just only been Moon Knight and Loki. Like I said, this is coming from somebody who hasn't watched any of the new shows, any of the new movies, any of the new stuff. I do know that a lot of people say the Spider-Man movies are good. I have not given those a watch, so you could roast me for that one. But this is coming from somebody who hasn't watched any of the new stuff. I'm not updated. I don't know the new lore, the new story, all that stuff, but I still very much enjoyed Loki. And oh, I'm 100% biased. I mean, I only picked up Loki originally because, you know, he was one of the few names that I actually remembered from the OG era before Thanos, you know, BT. But it just goes to show how good this show is. I'm not caught up on all the lore, but this is the first time with any of these new Marvel shows, movies, etc., that have actually got me intrigued and actually finally got me asking questions. Okay, where are we right now in this whole new Marvel universe, this whole new Marvel timeline and story? No promises that I'm actually gonna look into it, but point is, Loki actually got me interested in Marvel again. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let y'all know this is just a little bit of a overall spoiler warning. I do try to keep it pretty generic throughout, but there will be some spoilers, especially towards the end of the video. So this is your warning, just letting you know. I love time, dimensions, anything that has to do with that. You immediately get my attention. But in order to keep it, well, you have to actually make a good show. You have to actually make good content and media. And I'm proud to say that Loki does deliver on that. Whenever you start getting into time and dimensions, you better have good writers and directors just that know where the show is going, has been, and will be. And when you have good writers and directors, you could come out with an amazing show that really gets you thinking, that really gets you confused in a good way, and wraps up perfectly with an ending that perhaps they already showed, with an ending that was clearly well written, planned out, and known from the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the characters. Let's get a little brief overview real quick here. Obviously, we have Loki, our main character. I liked what they did with the character. I thought it was cool to dive a little deeper into, you know, who Loki is, what it is that he really wants. That's the whole point of the show, is to kind of dive deeper into the character of Loki. And I enjoyed seeing the changes that happened to him throughout the show. It's a little fun journey to join him in. It's pretty cool to see. And obviously then we have Sylvie, which I despise Sylvie. She is extremely annoying, in my opinion, but I think she serves as a very good comparison, almost as if, you know, because she is a Loki variant, right? And it's almost as if Sylvie is the Loki who never changed. You know, throughout the show, we could see Loki change for the better. He becomes better. He becomes a better person. He comes to understand his glorious purpose. While Sylvie, despite seeing everything within the TVA, kind of stays the same and continually fails to see the big picture. A comparison to how main character Loki was at the beginning of the show. Very short-sighted, very arrogant, can't see more than 1 foot in front of them, and far more selfish. Sylvie acts as that baseline so we could see just how much actual Loki changed. That's how I see Sylvie, at least. I know some people might like her a little more, but I think her ideas were pretty dope. And then obviously we have characters like Mobius and Ravonna. It's really cool to see their debate and their struggle as well. I mean, questioning, what is the point of the TVA? Are we doing the right thing here? Are we limiting free will? Or are we doing this for the safety of all people? There's cool arguments on both sides, and well, it's actually something to think about. I like that. Naturally, the consequences of free will are going to be death and disaster and evil. But without free will, Are you anything more than a slave? And are you even human if you cannot have the ability to choose? What is life if we cannot choose and make our own decisions? It is a good conversation, and I like that they peek into that. We also had He Who Remains and or Victor Timely, at least the variant that we were joined by in the show. And he was also very well written and makes you ask those questions. Is he always destined to become evil? Always destined to become Kang the Conqueror? Or can there be the different choices? I guess now that there's actual free will because of Loki, but you know, I guess anything's possible. So overall, I thought that the characters were written pretty well. And I enjoyed accompanying everybody on their own little character adventures, you know? Let's talk about the visuals. Oh my goodness. Look, CG, I don't know what it is with CG budgets. I don't know who gets the money, who doesn't, because sometimes CG could be an absolute disaster, absolutely atrocious. And I'm proud to say that here in Loki, the CG is pretty fire. Bad CG is only bad CG if it's noticeable. If there's a moment in time in the show that stands out to you that you remember for its bad CG, then that's bad CG. Any CG that gets by, that gets its point across, that doesn't take you out of the world, to me is fine. As long as it's not so atrocious that it's a memorable moment, that it takes you out of the immersion, it takes you out of the universe and makes you realize I am looking at horrible CG, then to me, that CGI is fine. I'm happy to say that here in Loki, it's beyond that. At no point was I taken out of the immersion, and throughout the show, I was just constantly in visual awe, being happy and excited at what I was looking at. It was really good CG, beautiful colors, beautiful landscapes, a beautiful visual representation of the timelines and all that. It was great through and through. Good CG that simply adds to the universe and simply truly immerses you in that Loki world, in the freaking TVA and everything. It's great. And moving on, what always goes with beautiful visuals to finally complete it into one beautiful piece of media? Music. The soundtrack, the themes are so good, ladies and gentlemen. It absolutely completes the scene and gets you excited. Any music that's able to elicit that emotional response while you're looking at the visuals and the music is going off is a 10 out of 10 beautiful experience and show right there. When I first saw that ending, oh my goodness, I was hyped, bro. Looking at beautiful visuals while hearing that music, I was hyped. I was feeling it, man. I was feeling it, and it actually hit the nail on the head. It actually landed, actually a good ending to a Marvel show. It was beautiful. It was great. Let me know what you think. Do you like what they did with Loki? Do you not like what they did with Loki? Let's have a conversation, y'all. Also, just saying, if you're still watching, I appreciate you. And please do consider subscribing. You know, that button's right down there, all right? To be honest, this is hands down, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best piece of Marvel media right now. I know that, I think, what is it? The Marvels came out or something? And I know that's been getting roasted. I know that a lot of people do not like that. I'm sure the critics do. But I know that a lot of people are not liking freaking the Marvels or whatever. I think that's what it was called. I haven't watched it myself, but of what I've seen so far, it's looking rough. Even if this is one of the only good Marvel shows we'll get for a while, this was honestly one of the few shows that I actually cared about. Maybe it's just because it had one of the OGs from, you know, the Thanos era, but it's just rough out here in the Marvel universe. Nothing is really captivating my attention, at least not like it used to. Maybe it's because I was more invested. Maybe it's because I started when I was a kid and I just kept watching those movies and loved how they connected to each other so well. And this new era, it really seems like they're trying to do the same thing, but it's very difficult to capture lightning in a bottle 2 times. And when you have writers that are seemingly not in agreement, writers that are not as skilled as before, it's sad to see. I don't know who writes these shows. I don't know who's in charge of the direction, but whoever made Moon Knight and Loki, please give them more jobs. Give them more shows to write. Put them in charge of more shows to write and direct. And Marvel, maybe you can make a comeback. So ladies and gentlemen, to wrap it all up, I enjoyed Loki. I thought it was a good show, and it's just really cool to see just how far and just how much the character of Loki changed. To see where he started and where he ends up. Loki really did have that glorious purpose that he sought out from the beginning.
I am Loki of Asgard. I am Loki of Asgard. And I am burdened with glorious purpose.
For nearly every living thing, choice breeds shame and uncertainty and regret. I was born to be. I want to save this. I want to save everything. I want my friends back. I don't want to be alone. I know what I want. I know what kind of God I need to be. For you. For all of us. I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.